Jai Radha Madhava. Acharya. Astotar Sri Srimad Vaingre Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Rath Yatra Festival Ki Jai. Gauda Premanande. All glories to the Samala Bodhis. All glories to the Samala Bodhis. All glories to the Samala Bodhis. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Padastaya Budale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudavaya Pacharni Vishesha Shunyavadi Pastacharya Sitanya Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So, in honor of the upcoming Jagannath Rath Yatra, we're going to be beginning with our reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is going to be from Madhya Lila, Volume 3, Chapter 13, the ecstatic dancing of the Lord at Rath Yatra. Now this event, we can just look back from yesterday, is following the cleansing of the Gundicha temple and then the bathing of Jagannath Swami. So we had a very nice Gundicha cleansing here last week, and now we're moving on with this ecstatic pastime of Lord Chaitanya, and it brings up a lot of instructions for the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the practice of kirtan. And the chapter we're going to be reading from today is entitled The Ecstatic Dancing of the Lord at Rath Yatra. So we'll read the summary first. A summary of this chapter is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhasya as follows. After bathing early in the morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the deities Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra get aboard their 3 cars. This function is called Pandu Vijay. At that time, King Parudra took a broom with a golden handle and began to cleanse the road. Lord Jagannath took permission from the goddess of fortune and then started in the car for the Gundicha temple. The road to the temple led along a broad, sandy beach, and on both sides of the road were residential quarters, houses, and gardens. Along that road, these servants called Gaudas began to pull the cars. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu divided his Sankirtan party into 7 divisions. with 2 mridangas in each division. There were altogether 14 mridangas. Actually, if you go to Puri, and we'll talk about it, the mridangas and instruments are just overwhelming. While performing kirtans, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited various symptoms of transcendental ecstasy, and Jagannath and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exchanged their feelings very blissfully. When the cars reached the place known as Balagandi, the devotees offered the deities simple food. At this time, in a nearby garden, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees took a brief rest from the dancing. So I went a couple of years to Puri and a couple of years ago, and we got a few things which I'll pass around. You're welcome to inspect them. But one are the ropes that the Godas pull, these silken ropes, and the other is a chadar from Jagannath Swami. Most of the verses have just a translation, so we're just going to skip the Bengali except when we get to the purports, and we'll chant them. So, text number 1. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who danced in front of the car of Sri Jagannath, be all glorified. By seeing his dancing, not only was the whole universe held in wonder, but Lord Jagannath himself became very much astonished. All glories to Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda. All glories to Advaita Chandra. And all glories to the devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to the listeners of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Please hear the description of the dancing of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the Rath Yatra festival. His dancing was very enchanting. Please hear of it with great attention. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal associates got up in the dark and attentively took their early morning baths. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal associates then went to see the ceremony of Pandu Vijay. During this ceremony, Lord Jagannath leaves his throne and gets up onto the car. King Prataparudra in person, as well as his entourage, allowed the Pandu Vijay ceremony to be held by all the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal devotees, Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, and others were very happy to observe how Lord Jagannath began the Rath Yatra. Text number 8. Balishta Daita Ghana Jena Mala Hata Hati Jagannatha Vijaya Keraya Kari Hata Kata Hati. Translation: the very strongly built Daitas, carriers of the Jagannath deity, were as powerful as drunken elephants. They manually carried Lord Jagannath from the throne to the car. Purport: the word Daita refers to one who has received the mercy of the Lord. Lord Jagannath has a number of stalwart servants known as Daitas. These servants do not come from very high caste families, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, or Vaishyas, but because they are engaged in the service of the Lord, they have been elevated to a respected position. Thus they are known as Daitas. These servants of Lord Jagannath take care of the Lord from the day of the Snana Yatra up to the time the Lord is carried from the throne to the Rath car. In the Kshetra Mahatmya, these Daitas are said to come from the Sabras, a caste that keeps and sells pigs. However, among the Daitas there are also many who come from the Brahmana caste. Those Daitas coming from the Brahmana families are called Daita Patis, or leaders of the Daitas. The Daita Patis offer food such as sweetmeats to Lord Jagannath during the Anavasara, the resting period after Snan Yatra. They also make the early morning offerings of sweetmeats daily. It is said that during the Anavasara, Lord Jagannath suffers from fever, and that the Daita Patis offer him an infusion of drugs represented by fruit juice. It is said that in the beginning, Lord Jagannath was worshipped by the Sabras and was known as the deity Nilamadav. Later, when the deity was established in the temple, the Lord became known as Jagannath. Because the deities were taken from the Sabras, all these Sabra devotees were elevated to the post of Daitas. Now this interesting piece that Srila Prabhupada talks about, where the Daitas bring Jagannath out from the temple and put him onto his cart. It's just a spectacular event, actually. And you know when, in the deity, of course, is just massive. And you know when he's moving, though, because his head, his crown, which is of peacock feathers, waves back and forth. You know that they're moving him. He's rocking back and forth, and the feathers go back and forth. It's just a spectacular scene. And Prabhupada talks about the Sabras here, how they were forest dwellers, and they're they're not your typical, at least that was my observation, not your typical Indian body, slender and medium in height, but these, it must have been generational, maybe, but they're massive, they're very big-bodied persons. And it's fascinating to see how they wrap this silken rope around his body, and they lift him up and put him down on a pad, a silken pad. They're pillows, actually. And then they pick him up and they do it again and again until they finally get him up onto the cart. And then they all come out with their gongs, and everybody's in unison playing. And the description here, Prabhupada touches upon it, how the kirtan party is there. And to see that, how they're so nicely organized and tending to the deities, it's totally fascinating. And when they start pulling the cart, sometimes it's a little bit chaotic. Last year when I was there, the ropes were pulled out, and they were to be set down on the ground, and when the conscious blow, and it's time to pull the cart. The ropes are to be picked up, and you take off. But in their enthusiasm, the crowd grabbed the ropes before the pujaris were ready, and they started pulling the cart. And they pulled it so hard that they broke the ropes. And then the military had to come in and stop the crowd. And they had to start all over again. And to move the crowd it's not possible. There are so many people, well over 1 million people. There were 2.5 million. I don't know about this year. We'll hope to get some nice reports of how the crowd, how enthusiastic the crowd was. And believe me, they're totally enthusiastic. And as they're waiting for Jagannath to begin, they have to take these water trucks, big water trucks with hoses, and they spray the crowd to cool everyone off. Because by the time the parade is ready to go, it's hot. People they're taking water bottles and throwing it out into the crowd, and they're spraying everyone down with a hose just to keep everyone calm. But the whole experience is quite amazing, and Prabhupada touches upon it here in describing how and this is also in the Skanda Purana, where it's described how in years ago, when in ancient times, when the measurement of time was done by seasons and not months, instead by seasons and not months like we do now. There's a description given of how there in the kingdom of Malava there was a very pious king, and his name was Indradumna. And this Indradumna was visited by a celestial being, and he heard from this person that Lord Vishnu would be descending in this district of Sri Kshetra, and that he would be called Nilamadava. And the king was obviously quite enthusiastic to hear this, that the Lord is appearing, and he'll be of a beautiful blackish form. So he sent one of his attendants, Vidyapati, to go and see find where is this Nilamadav. So Vidyapati went to this area, Sri Kanta it's called, Sri Kshetra actually, and he was searching for this deity, but couldn't find where is this Nilamadav. So he, in his searching, he went everywhere, in the woods, in the beach areas, but still nothing. To the point where he was disappointed or discouraged, when finally some forest dwellers called the Sabras, a tribe of forest dwellers, came upon him, and he was hungry and exhausted. So they invited him and took him in to their community. And after some time, when he recovered, he decided that he would stay there for some time. And he ended up actually marrying one young girl. Her name was Lalita, who was the daughter of the chief of this Sabara community. And this went on for some time, and he noticed in the course of the day that this king, what was his name, Vishvasu? Yeah, I believe his name was Vishvasu, would daily in the afternoon he would go off on some walk. He would disappear. So he got curious and he asked, "Where are you going every single day?" But Vishvasu, he didn't want to reveal or explain what he was doing. So finally he was able to get his wife, Lalita, the daughter of the king, to reveal that this king is going off into the forest to worship this Nilamadav. And when he heard that this was a fact, he was very, very excited, and he approached the chief that, "Please let me come and see this deity," keeping the word of Indradumna in his mind, the order of Indradumna that he needed to go and find this deity and report back. So he finally, Vishvasu relented, and he took him to see the deity. And when he saw the deity, he was just struck with wonder. How is this beautiful form? And he immediately took off to the king's palace to inform him that he had found this beautiful deity. So, of course, King Indradumna, understanding this, he wanted to come and see. But what happened actually was that because of this, of King Indradumna coming, this whole discovery happening, it had opened the door to a prophecy, which was that Lord Vishnu had promised Yamaraj that if this king comes to see this Nilamadav, that the deity would disappear. Of course, this is a major plan. Ultimately, it's a plan by the Lord to reveal himself in his Jagannath form. But the king, not knowing this, he goes with his entourage and they go and look for the Jagannath, for Nilamadav, but Nilamadav has disappeared. So that night, the king, of course, was very disappointed. But that night, again, another celestial being appeared in his dreams, telling the king that in the Kali Yuga that I will appear in this form, and that what you should do is go off to Niladri and there build a beautiful temple. And we've heard this story many a time, but it's just a wonderful explanation of how the appearance of Jagannath has come about. Of course, the deity it's still not there. But the king built this wonderful palace and was told by this messenger that you look for a Daru Brahma, a sacred piece of wood with the different four distinct signs of Lord Vishnu. And from this Daru Brahma, this log, you should carve this beautiful form. And finding this log, they found it actually floating in the sea. And they took it back to the palace, and the next problem was how to carve this. And so he employed various artisans, different sculptors. They would come, and every one of them that would come and try and do some work, their chisels would break for some mysterious reason. Every time someone would come, they would start their work, their chisels would break, and they could not even make a mark on this Daru Brahma. So the king, of course, was quite disappointed, and then it just happened that this elderly artisan came. He was an older gentleman who was in actuality Vishvakarma, we know the architect, the celestial architect in disguise. So he came and he offered that he would do this on one condition, that there not be any disturbance for 3 weeks, so that he could finish his carving. So in the course of the carving, after 2 weeks, there was no sound. So the king was concerned that maybe this sculptor, he went away, or maybe something happened. What's going on? There's no work going on. So they decided after 2 weeks that they would open the doors. And when they opened the doors, they found this a form of a Jagannath with no hands and no feet. But what they did notice, what they were struck by, was his beautiful eyes, his benevolent eyes. And we can see that in the form of Jagannath. When you go to Puri and you see how big the deity is, his eyes are just beyond big. Everything else, his form, you don't even pay attention to, practically speaking, because the form his eyes are so gigantic and benevolent looking. They were struck by this. And I was talking to dear Lalita the other day, and we were hearing or discussing how this beautiful form of Jagannath is so special. In previous ages, when the Lord appears, what do the devotees generally do? They have to engage in some tapasya, fasting, right? There's fasting, we do extra seva, we have to do a lot of preparations, the abhishek ceremonies, etc. So it's some austerities. You fast all day, half a day, like that. But in the Kali Yuga, Lord Jagannath's tapasya is feasting, dancing, and chanting. And this whole Rath Yatra festival is the proof of that. It's an exhibition of that. That when the Lord appeared in this form of Jagannath Swami, what happened? They had gigantic celebrations. When Jagannath comes onto his cart, it's a big, big celebration. And it's centered around feasting and chanting and dancing. But this whole pastime of the incomplete physical structure is also meant to serve as a reminder to the devotees that their actions determine their consequences. the devotees, this whole experience of seeing the beautiful unfinished, quote-unquote unfinished form of the deity, it shows how the devotees should also be aware that their actions determine their consequences. When King Indradumna went in and saw this incomplete, so-called incomplete form of the Lord, it's a whole different experience than seeing the beautiful two-handed, threefold bending form of the Lord. It's very interesting discussion and descriptions which are there in the Skanda Purana. So, as Prabhupada points out here, the Sabras were just ordinary forest dwellers, but they became qualified because of their sincere service to Nila Madhav. And this whole experience and this festival of Jagannath is that the Lord is making himself available, so easily available to the general mass, the common mass of people. And anyone can come and pull the rope, they can take some prasadam, they can dance before the Lord, they can glorify his holy name, and it really helps us to understand how merciful this form of Jagannath is, and how this pastime is so special between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Jagannath in their reciprocal movements. Text number 9. While carrying the deity of Lord Jagannath, some of the Daitas took hold of the shoulders of the Lord, and some caught his lotus feet. The Lord Jagannath deity was bound at the waist by a strong, thick rope made of silk. From two sides the Daitas caught hold of this rope and raised the deity. Strong, puffed up cotton pads called tults were spread out from the throne to the car, and the heavy deity of Lord Jagannath was carried from one pillow-like pad to the next by the Daitas. While the Daitas carried the heavy Jagannath deity from one pad to the next, some of the pads broke and the cotton contents floated into the air. When they broke, they made a heavy crackling sound. Lord Jagannath is the maintainer of the whole universe. Who can carry him from one place to another? The Lord moves by his personal will just to perform his pastimes. While the Lord was transported from the throne to the car, tumultuous sounds were made on various musical instruments. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting, Manima, Manima, but he could not be heard. Purport: the word Manima is used to address a respectable person in Orissa. Lord Jagannath was being respectfully addressed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this way. In Puri, when the kirtan parties are performing, and there's dozens of groups, and all of them have at least well, there's some that only have 10 or 20, but there's some parties that have 50 musicians and dancers, and they all perform in unison. It's really a super, what a transcendental experience. While the Lord was being carried from the throne to the car, King Prataparuddra personally engaged in the Lord's service by cleansing the road with a broom that had a golden handle. The King of Puri also comes out. It's a big affair, actually, when he comes out of the temple and he's sweeping the pathway in front of Jagannath, and he sweeps the ramp that Jagannath is carried up. They make a big event. The king sprinkled the road with sandalwood-scented water. Although he was the owner of the royal throne, he engaged in menial service for the sake of Lord Jagannath. We'll just read a couple more verses here. Although the king was the most exalted, respectable person, still he accepted menial service for the Lord. He therefore became a suitable candidate for receiving the Lord's mercy. Upon seeing the king engaged in such menial service, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very happy. Simply by rendering service, the king received the mercy of the Lord. Purport. Unless one receives the mercy of the Lord, he cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead or engage in his devotional service. This wonderful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-29 is quoted. A devotee who has received even a small fraction of the mercy of the Lord can understand him. Others may engage in theoretical speculation to understand the Lord, but they cannot know anything about him. Although Maharaj Prataparudra was very eager to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord refused to see him. But when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the king engaged in menial service for Lord Jagannath, he became very happy. Thus the king became eligible to receive Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. If a devotee accepts Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the universal guru and Lord Jagannath as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, he is benefited by the combined mercy of Krishna and Guru. That is stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his instructions to Rupa Goswami. Brahmanda Brahmate Kona Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadi Bhai Bhakti Lata Bij. The seed of devotional service fructifies and becomes a transcendental creeper. Finally, it reaches the lotus feet of the Lord in the spiritual sky. This seed is obtained by the mercy of the Lord and the Guru. By the Lord's mercy, one gets the association of a bona fide Guru, and by the mercy of the Guru, one gets a chance to render devotional service. Devotional service, the science of Bhakti Yoga, carries one from this material world to the spiritual world. Any questions or comments? Vigapatti Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you. It was particularly nice to hear about this from somebody who was actually there and saw it with their own two eyes. That made it extra exciting. So my question is this. You mentioned a few times in the course of your class that this is an unfinished form of the deities, and that's the way we always hear it explained, that, Maharaj Indradyumna became impatient and he just barged in there, and okay, that was... Here's my question though. I know virtually nothing about sculpture, but I can't see how you'd get from what Jagannath Baladev Subhadra look like now to a human form. In other words, like if he kept going, are you trying to... Is what's being said that if that sculpture kept going, what we have now would have been transformed somehow into the human form? It seems like this is like a plan or something like that. I mean, we're calling it an unfinished form, but I don't think he had any intention of carving out a human-like form, because how could you get from that to a human-like form? That's the question.
Yeah, that's a mystery to me. We can understand that this was the plan of intent of the Lord to appear in such a particular form, and that Vishwakarma was not even there when the door was opened. So there was clearly some plan by Krishna that he would manifest this particular form because this particular form is most merciful to the fallen people of Kali Yuga. This particular form is most merciful to the fallen, and that's explained in the Skanda Purana. This particular form is especially beneficial for those in the age of Kali. And that's what I understand from it.
My understanding is that it's a form of ecstasy. This is their form in
yes,
ecstatic mood.
That also.
Listening.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful story about how that comes about, in which Rohini, no, the residents of Dwarka were curious about, or had always heard about, the activities of Krishna in Vrindavan. So they were making some inquiry, and they invited Rohini to come and describe some of these pastimes. And when she came, her condition was that Subhadra would guard the door so that no one would get in, as she was describing to the queens these beautiful, loving, and incredible transcendental pastimes of Krishna and Balaram in Vrindavan. So, as the Krishna and Balaram were out, Rohini came. She had Subhadra guarding the door, and as she began her speaking, Krishna and Balaram came upon the scene, and they were so struck by the descriptions given by Rohini that all three of them froze. So this form is also, as you say, meant to show the ecstasy of the Lord in hearing these transcendental pastimes, that he froze and took on this particular form.
There's a really nice recording of Vishnu John telling that story at the Rath Yatra Festival. I think it was in San Francisco, that he describes the story that you just told.
Yeah, incredible. It's Jagannath is very special. Huh? Yeah. Prabhupada purposely was instructed by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta that the first deities that he should establish in the West is Jagannath. Again, for the most fallen. Jagannath Swami Baladev Subhadra Devi ki jai.